The intermediate plateau. Yes, that place. Whenever you're learning a language for long enough, you feel like you've done all the beginner stuff, you're ready for the advanced stuff, you know what your interests are in the basics, but you don't know what to do next. Maybe you feel lost or you're losing interest. There are ways to get through this, I promise. I've learned 5 foreign languages, so I'm pretty familiar with this. It sucks, but I promise this isn't the end. Today we're going to cover a few ways that you can push through it and rediscover that pure joy of learning and challenging yourself. If you're at the intermediate plateau, then no matter which way you've studied up to this point, I'm sure that you've learned the basic daily stuff, how to order food, your workplace vocabulary. You've learned the basic stuff, but how much longer can you really do the same things? What I would really implore you to do is look at what your main interests are. What things genuinely interest you on a personal level? Is it video games? Is it woodworking? Is it travel? Do you like mountains and nature? Whatever it is that interests you personally, follow that thing if you haven't already. One of the things that happens at the intermediate plateau is you feel like you've run out of things to care about often. And the problem with that is if you don't care about what you're learning, then you simply won't care. So you need to discover something new, find some new topics, and challenge yourself in that vocabulary. And maybe it brings you to a part where you need to use different grammar, where you need to use more like higher honorifics or a different type of respectful vocabulary. Or maybe there's a different tense that is used for like literary purposes, for example, which does happen in some languages. And you need to learn that area of grammar because you're following your interests. Finding this new challenge is the thing that's going to keep you going. And the challenge is most rewarding whenever you care about it personally. And speaking of challenges, if you've done the same thing up to this point, and I'm not just talking about grammar and vocabulary, if all you've been doing is reading, or if all you've been doing is video lessons, or maybe the same app or two, you're going to get bored of that stuff. Eventually, it's going to lose its flair. And sure, maybe it's useful to stay in the habit and to stay in the language, but there are better things that you could be doing. So mix up the modalities. In any language, you have 4 modalities. You have reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Mix it up between those 2. If you do mostly reading, mix it up and go to listening. If you mostly do writing, mix it up and go to speaking. What you can also do is repurpose the same piece of material that you like into all 4 of these modalities. So let's say that you like a specific book. You're reading the first Harry Potter, just for example. Just take a page of that, one of your favorite pages maybe, and read that page. And then read it aloud, speak it, and then record yourself speaking it, and then listen to that recording, and then write down what you hear in the recording. This way of mixing up how you study is going to be immensely helpful to you, not only in mixing it up and giving yourself different challenges, but all of that, especially if you handwrite the stuff, it's going to be much better for you in actually retaining the stuff long term. Giving yourself that variation in something that you enjoy, as I've been saying this whole video, is what's going to keep you going, I promise. Either way, whichever bits and pieces of this that you take, what it really comes down to is mix it up. Do something different. You're bored at the intermediate plateau because you've done so much of the same things. You feel like you've explored everything and you don't know what's next, perhaps. So find something new. If you haven't explored all of your personal interests, start there. If you haven't done so much listening, go there. Whenever you started learning this language, whichever one or ones it is, everything was new to you. So yes, everything was much more challenging, but I imagine for you, if you're anything like me, it was much more exciting for you too, because everything was new. Everything was fun. You had this idea in your mind of all the stuff that you were going to be able to enjoy, all the people and places that you might go, and just having those experiences. Don't lose sight of that, because in this intermediate plateau, yes, you have a lot in your arsenal right now as far as this language goes, but how much more can you acquire? How much more can you appreciate? What other art and beauties are there for you to appreciate, for you to discover because you're learning this language? So rediscover that, whatever that was, hang on to that, don't lose sight of it, because that also is going to keep that fire burning in you. But what if you say, Zachary, I have already learned everything that I want to know. I've explored all of my interests, and I feel satisfied with all of the stuff that I've read, with my level of listening, I can speak well enough, I could go anywhere in the world and do this thing. Then maybe you've achieved your goals, and that's okay too. If you feel like you've done everything that there is academically speaking, personally or formally, if you feel like you've done everything that you want to do in the language, then okay, that's fine. Do that. That's okay to accept that, as long as you realize that and truly accept that. I'm not saying stop and just quit the language. No, not necessarily that. But don't feel pressured to learn more things, or don't feel pressured to challenge yourself to something new. If you're comfortable reading novels, if you like going out and speaking to people, if you're comfortable doing what you're doing, that's also okay. Just actually be comfortable doing what you're doing. So whether it's new topics, new grammar, whether it's mixing up how you do the language, or just accepting that, you've kind of done it all for you, these are all ways that you can break through the intermediate plateau and reinvigorate yourself to push more and learn more in the language, or not if you fall into that last one. Whatever you do, just make sure that you do something. Let me know in a comment below which language you're learning and why. I have links below in the description if you would like for stuff that may or may not help you. Either way though, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.